Hi, I'm Catherine. Welcome to my making adventure. This is a video podcast where I share all of the crafty things that I've been up to lately. I live in the rural Midwest with my husband and our 3 daughters, and today is August 8th, 2026. Hold on. Today I am wearing a finished object, which is my Sophorine, a tea/tank pattern by Audrey Borrego that I downloaded for free on Ravelry. It's knit with fingering weight yarn, and I used 2 different yarns. I used Borrego Ultimate Sock in the color Rosalinda, and that's the pinkier, creamier, purpley color. And then the brown color is by Pearls and Pines, and it is called Coffee House. And they're both a superwash merino nylon blend, like a sock yarn. And yeah, so it is a V-neck, and I didn't have enough yarn to make sleeves, so I did a tank top. And once I had joined in the round, I did as much striping as I could. And then I ran out of the Borrego, and so I just kind of color blocked and I ended up being able to add like 4 or 5 rounds of the ultimate sock at the end before finishing off with the Pearls and Pines Coffee House yarn. Again, I have this much yarn left, which is all Pearls and Pines. I used up every last bit of the Borrego yarn in this. There is not a scrap of it left. So I just, yeah, in the ribbing, I just like switched back to the brown yarn when it ran out. In the middle of a row, gasp. It isn't quite as long as I was hoping it would be. However, it works nice over this dress, which is good because the shoulders of this dress have like worn holes in them. So I feel like a nice little vest kind of covers that up. Yeah. So it works well as a little vest. If maybe if I had different pants, I could wear it with pants, but right now it's just a little vest. But I think it turned out nicely. Yeah, and I would knit this pattern again because I like the V. I think I would like it with sleeves, and it was pretty simple and enjoyable to knit. So fingering weight, V-neck, t-shirt pattern that worked out really well. It does have notes on bust shaping, but I didn't add any. I just knit it straight. Yeah. I think I used a US 3 needle for the main body, a US 2.5 for the armhole and the neck ribbing, but I kept the US 3 needle for the bottom ribbing to help it not bunch in too much. So yeah, there's the finished object. I cast this on in June for Christine & So's tea knit along. I think I started in June. Hold on. And I knit some of it while I was on, I started May 31st. I didn't put my finish date on it yet. I wonder if I can figure out when I finished it. It's been a little bit. I worked on it on the trip I went on with my husband, but I didn't finish it until we got home. But I think I finished it in July. So I think it's been at least a week. So yeah, I'm excited. It's a nice little summer tank. What else? Since finishing this, I have also been finishing up the Crocheted cats. So I've got all 3 that I was gonna give to my friend. I'll give them to her tomorrow at church. The next 3 made for her. I'm still hoping to make a couple maybe in September for my daughters, but I kind of want to do it secretly. So Hopefully they're not listening to me right now. These are done. They're all unique. I feel like this one didn't get enough stuffing in its head and its legs are kind of close together. This one, the mouth isn't like quite lined up with the ears and the legs are like too far apart because I overcompensated. This one, I must have put in more beans because it's way heavier than this one. But the brown one's in between the two. So, they sit up. I don't think you can see what I'm doing, but they sit up on their own if well placed, but they're also just cute how they are. And so my friend's a third grade teacher and she likes to keep some stuffies to give away to her students for birthdays or just like unique situations. And so I made her 3 last year and then I made her 3 this summer. So these will be going to her. And I also knit some, I'm calling them Excavation coasters. So there's a pattern called Excavation Blanket on Ravelry that is free, and I didn't write down who it's by. So I'm gonna look that up really quick. Oh, it's just called Excavation, not Excavation Blanket, by Jana, Pihota. It's a free pattern for using up scraps to make a blanket. And it has, a lot of people have made it. But since I knew it was with scraps, I wanted to try making little coasters, specifically because I was trying to think of what would work with a lot of the scraps of yarn I have from frogging the sweaters that I frogged to make my storm sweater. So I have a lot of scraps of pink yarn that are like a few yards. They're not teeny tiny, but they're not like enough. And they don't have nylon, so they can't be like knit into scrappy socks. I don't even know how many rounds you could get in a sock with what I have. But I made some coasters using the Excavation Blanket pattern. And I think this is the first one I made. And it was a little bit smaller than I wanted. And I wanted it more square and less rectangular. I know the fringe will make it look rectangular, but I wanted the knitted part to look square. So I knit this one next, and I did it, I think like 2 more repeats big. And I felt like it got way wider, but it didn't really get taller. These have been blocked and trimmed. So then I did a third one, and I think I did this one like in between in terms of stitches. But when I blocked it, I pulled it only this way and I laid it flat to dry. I didn't like pull it all like this. I just really yanked it that way and I laid it flat to dry. I don't have a blocking mat or pins or anything. I'm just laying it on a towel to dry. And I think this one turned out nice and square. So I'm gonna try reblocking these 2. But I have been so frustrated with how these 2 came out that I had put it all away and worked on another project while I waited for this one to dry to see if it was gonna come out right. And since it did, I kind of want to pull out the yarn and keep working on them, but I've become addicted to a new project since then. Yeah, so I've made 3 of these and I think I'll just make a bunch of them with the scraps. They're cute little coasters. Not everybody wants pink coasters, but that's the yarn that I have. So that's what I'm gonna knit. It feels nice to have a purpose for using up the little pieces of yarn. I couldn't make anything much bigger with some of the scraps than this. It's like a down and back sort of situation. I don't even have enough to go like down and back and down and back at the diagonal with the little scraps that I have. So yeah, I was enjoying that, and it's kind of like a fun little puzzle, like, because when you first get started, you use such a tiny bit of yarn and then you cut it. then you're like, when is the right time to use this length of a yarn or this length of a yarn? So that's enjoyable to me. And I used maybe an 1/8. So these 3 together use maybe an 1/8 of the scraps that I currently have. But I think I still have 2 more sweaters to rip out. So that would double the amount of scraps I would have because I've ripped out 2 sweaters so far. So it feels nice to use up the little pieces of yarn rather than just throw them out. And I think they're cute. So that's what I've got there. Next up. Whips. So as promised, I worked on my Christmas stocking. I didn't let myself start the coasters until I put time in on the stocking for my daughter. I ended up actually ripping back. I had green for the foot, green and cream for the foot, and I ended up ripping back and doing it in the dark red color and the cream or the white. The toe and the cuff of this one are going to be red. I'm going to do the heel green. And that's where I'm at. I'm ready to put in the heel. And it's a short row heel, so I have to watch the video to do that. And I just haven't found time to knit and watch the video at the same time. And then I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for the leg of the stocking. I don't know. I think it's still called a leg, even though it doesn't actually go on someone's foot or leg. Although that's kind of a weird thought. I feel like here, my color work turned out pretty nicely. I'm knitting it inside out. And I held the maroon yarn in my left hand and the white yarn in my right hand. Something is wrong there. That is off. But the rest of it looks good, right? At the beginning of round, I still have some tension issues right there. But progress. When I do the main part of the leg, I'll have to switch needles and do it inside out. And try to be careful which yarn I'm holding in which hand, which is always confusing. I think my one daughter has snowmen and my other daughter has a snowflake. So I think there's an angel motif I might do for my third daughter's stocking. I'm not for sure. I'll have to double check with them or with my pictures. So that's the stocking. And then I'm knitting this as part of Carla's Merry Make Along, which she hosts for July and August. So it would be nice to finish this by the end of August, but I do need to kind of keep plugging away at it. And my new cast on, which I cast on yesterday, has stolen every ounce of knitting mojo that I have. So I cast on a new, to me, pattern, which is, does it even say the name of the pattern on the pattern? The Pressed Flowers Kerchief. It is a mosaic bandana. I'm trying to knit it a little bit bigger than a bandana to use up as much of the yarn as I can. And the pattern is written by Amy Christoffers. I don't even see that here. It's free on the Hobie website, but like I found it through Ravelry, if that makes sense. And I'm using this alpaca yarn that my husband got from a nearby mill called C&M Acres. So it's 100% alpaca milled in our area. I mean, loosely in our area, as close as a mill can get. And then I'm using this Sock Obsession yarns, which was gifted to me from Jenny Lee of Wyoming Knits. And I think she gifted it to me over a year ago. So it is a 100% superwash merino single ply. And I am holding it double. This is like a DK weight, and this is a fingering weight. So I'm holding the fingering weight double, knitting on a US 5 needle. The pattern I think technically calls for worsted weight in US 6. And are you ready? I'm so excited. Managing all the yarn is the least fun part. Ta-da! I don't know if I can hold it up well. Can you see how pretty that is? I had some small balls of the sock yarn, so I did change yarn there. Something is a little bit off on the edge side, like on this side of this first motif, and I'm sure it's a me mistake. I cast this on yesterday late afternoon in the car, and I get a little bit motion sick when I'm reading, so I was like trying to read the pattern, but also trying not to get such a bad headache that I didn't want to knit. So I have knit all this in less than 24 hours of like real life time, and I am loving it. It's like, you got to finish the flower. And they're like, can I do another one? And I think it's turning out really, really nicely. I love the way the colors are working together. I think a lot of times people do the pressed flowers patterns with like a color changing yarn, and this is just a variegated yarn, and I'm holding it double, so that kind of lessens the variegation. But I think the way the color is like popping out of the undyed alpaca is really pretty. There are patterns or directions in the pattern for how to do your yarn management to try to maximize your yarn. And so after I finish each motif, I'm just like trying to weigh my yarn and see if I can do another increase or if I need to go on to the next section. So it's actually I've already done one extra motif compared to the pattern, and I'm going to do one more. And then I think I'll have to move on to the next part of the pattern, which it doesn't immediately decrease. There's like a transition. So I think like at the point of the kerchief, there's a flower, and then the rest of it is like following the decrease instructions. This is my first real mosaic knitting pattern, and I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it's flying by. Like, I think I did these two this morning, this one after the girls went to bed last night, and like the rest of this yesterday evening, maybe two after the girls. No, I think just one. I think I finished this in the car. Yeah. So I'm going really, really quickly, but also it's like the only thing I want to work on. So far, my alpaca yarn was 80 grams to start, and I have like 58 grams of that still. So we'll see how much the next flower uses, and then I can decide if, because I think I still have like 80 some grams of the sock yarn. I think, yeah, after I knit the next one, if I still have more than 50 grams, I'll do one more flower motif before switching. So I'm really excited. It is warm, it's dense. I guess I didn't expect it to be so squishy of a fabric, but number one, I'm not sure how much it will block out. There's no nylon in this. It's merino, superwash merino, and alpaca. So it might be less squishy after it's been blocked. But it's alpaca. Like, of course it's gonna be like soft and squishy. And with the mosaic knitting, the fabric is a little bit denser. it's not necessarily like a kerchief is small, so it's kind of like more of a summery idea, but this is not going to be like a summery fabric. But at the very least, my girls are going to enjoy playing with it, and I'm going to enjoy looking at it. I already do enjoy looking at it. I just couldn't get over it. I can't get over it. So gorgeous. So, and this is also a free pattern, in case I didn't say that. So let's see. What did I knit that is a paid for pattern? I think I bought the stocking bundle. It's like 6 stockings in one though. I had tried to find a stocking pattern that was free, and I like struck out a couple times. So I bought this bundle. It was very reasonably priced for 6 stocking motifs in one. But this is a free pattern. This is a free pattern. That's a free pattern. The cats are a free pattern. So I guess if you're looking for free patterns, this is the place to look. Even the Yarn Cozy is a free pattern that I had my sock yarn in. This yarn was in a Yarn Cozy, but it needs to come out now because I'm about to have to start pulling from the outside and the inside to hold my yarn double. So that is what I've been working on. We did, let's see, I am still reading the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I'm on the book 8, which is currently the last book. And I guess I'm listening to it. I did check it out from the library though, in case my Libby loan expires before I can finish the book. VBS went well last weekend, but I'm really relieved to have that over. But now it's like a push to get our Wednesday night program up and running this fall in September. And our homeschool groups are talking about starting back up in September. So getting all ready for that as well. I need to order some curriculum just for us to use at home for school this year. And what else? I think that's about it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's okay. Yeah, we're busy with the garden as well. So, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a good August, and I will catch up with you later. God bless. Bye.